Hey everybody, my name is Clifford Stummy. I'm the pop song professor, and if you like deeper meaning in your music, you have come to a channel that I think you are going to like. Today we are talking about Eminem's song Mockingbird. I'm really glad to be doing the song. I have grown to really love a few of Eminem's songs. I haven't gotten to some of the scarier stuff, but I look forward to doing some of that and kind of finding the truth that he shares with us, despite a lot of the words and ideas that usually scare other people away. But we're going to be talking Mockingbird today. I want to say very quickly, thank you to my patrons. You guys are fantastic. Thanks for making this video possible. If anybody else is interested in becoming a patron, you can do so for as little as like $1 a month and get access to some cool behind-the-scenes stuff. Also, if Eminem Mondays are going to be a thing, you guys got to help me out, so go ahead and comment down below an Eminem song that you really like and that you want me to explain, and then go and upvote other people who have commented similar Eminem songs, and then the one that has the most upvotes next Monday, we will try to explain. And let's just go ahead and jump into some of these lyrics. We've got the intro where he does a couple of lines that I want to highlight. Things may not always make sense to you right now. What are you crying about? You got me. And essentially, Mockingbird is a song, not a love song in the romantic sense, but a love song in a fatherly sense to his daughter Haley and his adopted daughter Lainey. Their family went through some tough times. Eminem's wife did some crazy stuff. Of course, he's done some crazy stuff. And so the girls were kind of the ones who were still at home, staying with relatives, and having to kind of deal with some of the emotional trauma, whether natural or unnatural, that, you know, growing up in such an environment entails. And so Mockingbird essentially is a song to both of those girls saying, hey, I still care about you, and I know there's a lot of crazy stuff, but I kind of want to explain some things to you here in this song, and I hope you know that I care about you. Moving into verse 1, he says, Haley, I know you miss your mom, and I know you miss your dad when I'm gone. He's on tour, and he's writing songs, and so he has to leave. The mom is gone. Essentially, she got into some trouble with the law. There was a couple of things going on there. But I'm trying to give you the life that I never had. He refers to Lainey, too, who is his adopted niece. He says later, looking puzzled in a daze, I know it's confusing you. Daddy's always on the move. Mama's always on the news. And Eminem's wife actually was on the news for drug use. I think she went to prison at least once. And so that's, you know, not so good a role model for those daughters, but their family tried to stick it out. And eventually, it didn't work out so well, and I think that they're divorced now. I'm going to go ahead and look it up on Wikipedia just to make sure I'm correct on that. Yeah, so they actually lived together for a while, for about 4 years, and then got married and divorced within 2 years. And then their next marriage, I think, lasted something like 72 days or something. So obviously there's a lot of turmoil there, and that's going to be difficult for the daughters for sure. But Eminem continues, we did not plan it to be this way, your mother and me, but things have got so bad between us, I don't see us ever being together ever again. And I think this was written before the second marriage, which obviously that's kind of heartbreaking to think about for Eminem, for his wife, and for these girls. In the hook, he kind of refers back to the old nursery rhyme about a mockingbird. That lullaby is Hush Little Baby, and it goes, Hush Little Baby, don't you cry, Mama's gonna buy you a mockingbird. And so Eminem kind of refers to that here, and what he's doing essentially is he's kind of referring to the tenderness and the childlikeness of these children, and he's kind of coming across them in a way that, you know, is their dialect or a way that they speak. It's in a child's nursery rhyme, so it's something they should be able to understand. And he adapts the words a little bit. He says, now hush little baby, don't you cry, everything's going to be all right. Stiffen that upper lip up, little lady, I told you, daddy's here to hold you through the night. I know mommy's not here right now, and we don't know why. We fear how we feel inside. It may seem a little crazy, pretty baby, but I promise mama's going to be all right. And so he kind of essentially moves that lullaby into his own song, and it kind of transitions pretty well. And it still has this effect of reassuring the child and saying, like, it is going to be okay. We're together here, and mom's going to be all right. Maybe she'll come back, right? In verse 2, we move on to some interesting stuff. He talks about a personal instance, and I think it was actually the year before he really started making money off of his music, but he says, I remember back one year when Daddy had no money, Mommy wrapped the Christmas presents up and stuck them under the tree and said some of them were from me because Daddy couldn't buy them. I'll never forget that Christmas. I sat up the whole night crying, so it was really difficult for him. And from what I've read, he usually speaks very poorly of his ex-wife in his music, but in this case, he gives this very positive example of her being supportive of him, and I think that's a really cool story. And at the time, every house that we lived in either kept getting broken into and robbed or shot up on the block. And so they lost a lot of their assets, of some money, different resources, because people were breaking into their house, and so they were really living in poverty. Then continuing on later, and that's when Daddy went to California with his CD and met Dr. Dre and flew you and Mama out to see me. But Daddy had to work, you and Mama had to leave me. Then you started seeing Daddy on the TV and Mama didn't like it. And you and Lainey were too young to understand it. Papa was a Rolling Stone, so he kept moving around. And Mama developed a habit, so she's addicted to drugs. So life really started to look up for Eminem, and the family is still kind of being even more fractured by this process, though, which is obviously really unfortunate because he's referring back to verse 1, helping her to live the life that he never had because he's making this money. But at the same time, it's still kind of separating the family more. There's maybe more stress, or maybe he's just so busy and away from the family. Maybe the mom's jealous. A lot of that's going to be more personal from Eminem's perspective. Now, if we move into the outro, this part's really interesting because he takes that sort of the melody of the Mockingbird lullaby, and instead he says, and if you ask me to, Daddy's going to buy you a mockingbird. I'm going to give you the world. I'm going to buy a diamond ring for you. I'm going to sing for you. I'll do anything for you to see you smile. And if that mockingbird don't sing and that ring don't shine, I'm going to break that birdie's neck. I'll go back to the jeweler who sold it to you and make him eat every carrot. Don't F with Dad. Ha ha. Wow. Like, obviously, this is, I think, one of the cleanest Eminem songs that there is. And at the very end, he starts swearing here. But it's to tell this story about how he's still himself. I don't know, like, it sounds like he is the Eminem that we've interacted with and heard on so many other tracks. But he's trying to, be appropriate for his children, but even that Slim Shady, or that part of him he doesn't really like, or maybe the part of him who he really is still coming out and being there. And so he's going to protect his children, but he's going to do it in his own unique, violent, angry Eminem sort of way. And I think he's self-aware enough here to be communicating that purposefully. And I think he's saying, hey everybody, this song sounded like I was really sweet, but don't be under any misapprehensions that I've lost track of, the dark/light/good/bad person that I know that I am. That's my personal theory with this last little bit, because it definitely sounds like the Eminem that we hear from a lot of other tracks, the angry and violent one. But it still had that ring of sweetness, right? But in any case, I think that Mockingbird is a really interesting song. I think it's fantastic. I think that the first part, up until that last last outro, are really sweet. They're really interesting. They're a really cool way for the dad to be talking to his daughter. There were a couple of times when it sounded like he might be sniping the mom, but he also said good things about her, so it sounded a little bit more balanced, which I thought was pretty cool. But I would love to hear what you guys think about Mockingbird. What are your theories on it? And what is your favorite song by Eminem? I'd love to do Eminem Mondays, and I need to know what you guys want to hear by him. So feel free to go and upvote other people's Eminem comments for songs they want by him, and the one with the most votes we'll try to do next Monday, more than likely. Thanks so much for watching. Check out some of the videos on this channel, and I will talk to you later.